And as we follow developments south of the border, we're hearing from someone who has firsthand experience meeting with a U.S. president and knows the stakes of this meeting between Donald Trump and Mark Carney. Joining us now in studio is Frank McKenna, former Canadian ambassador to the U.S. Frank, thank you so much for being with us on what many consider to be a big day here.
Yeah, glad to be here, Faiza.
So we see the two leaders coming together for a joint press conference where Donald Trump basically dominated most or took over most of the talking there. But before we even get there, these tariffs have caused a lot of impacts for certain sectors north of the border here. They're really feeling these impacts here. So I wanted to ask, what's the likelihood of Mark Carney leaving this meeting with Donald Trump, walking away with something tangible?
Well, I think the signaling has been positive. I've spoken to at least two of our negotiators just in the last day, and they're cautiously optimistic. Nobody's saying there's a deal. They're just saying they're cautiously optimistic. And the early language from these two leaders was optimistic as well. Now, I don't think there's going to be a grand bargain. This is not the end of the road, but there is a chance we could get some relief on steel, for example. There could be some relief on autos, for example. There are other areas where it would be easy to give relief if the president were so inclined. The so-called fentanyl tariffs, 35% on Canada, it's unconscionable. It's indefensible. That should be changed. The de minimis exceptions, the new tariffs that he's putting on softwood lumber and derivative products, those are all areas where movement could take place. But if I had to guess, I would guess it's going to be around steel, autos, perhaps aluminum.
Donald Trump said that Canada will be very happy. He says they'll walk away very happy during that press conference. In some ways, that's telling, but it all depends on what happens at this meeting here. We are waiting to hear. In the meantime, you mentioned the auto sector, and that's something that came up numerous times during this press conference where Donald Trump said there are areas where both countries are competing here. So when it comes to the negotiations, what sort of wiggle room is there?
Well, I think that he perhaps doesn't understand the nature of the auto relationships in all three countries. This has been a carefully orchestrated integration of the auto sector in all three countries. And I'll give you an example. We might say that a certain vehicle is made in Canada. And in fact, that's true for several. But 75% of the parts come from the United States or Mexico. And that's true for almost every auto coming out of the production lines. On average, they cross the border at least 6 times before they come out in a vehicle. So he's trying to really, I think, oversimplify a very complicated, integrated relationship that works extremely well. And he forgets, he said, yeah, we want the autos to be made in the U.S. Mm-hmm. Well, that's interesting, but we have 40 million consumers in Canada too. What autos are we going to be driving in? Would he prefer that we're driving in Chinese automobiles? I don't know. Mexico has 130 or 140 million people. They would want some of the autos that their people drive made in Mexico. So the auto companies and governments in a very mature way over a long period of time have put together a relationship that works. We only produce 9% of North America autos. It's not like we have a disproportionate share of that market. If anything, we have perhaps a smaller share. So when you start untangling all of that, you do a lot of damage, which is what is happening with his auto tariffs. On top of that, he's put tariffs on aluminum, and Canadian aluminum is almost the entire ingredient on the box of a Ford F-150. So it automatically jacks the price up. So there's a lot to untangle here. But the president is incorrect when he talks about how all the autos manufacturing's got to be done in the United States. If that happens, we're going to have something to say about which autos are going to be driven in Canada.
It's an integrated system. I wanted to ask you about the pressure on Mark Carney to come back with something tangible, whether it's from the federal opposition saying that he needs to be a bit more aggressive, or Premier having certain expectations, your average Canadians here, those in those impacted sectors. What's the balance for Mark Carney now to balance public perception and also do what needs to be done behind closed doors? His team has said numerous times for us to manage our expectations, us as in the public.
Yeah, and I think that's the smart thing to do. This is a long game. And if we decide to make it a short game, it's probably not going to come out in our favor. And I think that those advocates for saying he's got to have a deal, he's got to go down there and make a deal, will then immediately criticize him because the deal won't be what we would consider a good deal.
What's an appropriate time?
Well, I don't think there is one, especially with President Trump, because he changes direction and changes his mind all the time. But we have to remember, we do have the luxury of waiting, and perhaps patience is a virtue. There's an article today saying we'd be smart to wait. We have, on average, tariffs of 5% on our Canadian goods. The rest of the world is 15 to 17%. We're winners. We're winners in this trade war with the United States, even though several sectors are losers. And I think we can afford to wait it out. Damage is taking place in the United States economy. The absence of aluminum tariff-free is really hurting U.S. consumers, people who have beer cans or people who have pickup trucks. Steel, as well, is needed by the United States of America. We're creating havoc in the auto sector by these tariffs. So the pressure is on the United States of America as well as us. Tourism is being crushed in the United States of America as a result of the ill will between the countries. Travel is down dramatically. So they're feeling deal tension as well. So we should not end up making a bad deal just to satisfy the political imperative of coming back with something. And I think the Prime Minister knows that. He's been through a lot of crises, fortunately for us, and I think he knows that he needs to play the long game here. And I like the way this is shaping up. I think that we are going to have some progress out of this meeting today.
Okay, Frank McKenna, as always, we appreciate you taking the time to be here with us on such a big day. Thank you so much.
And thank you.